Hey everyone. Breaking news that could put an extra $2,600 in your pocket. Yes, you heard that right. The government has just started rolling out these massive stimulus payments, and I'm going to tell you exactly who qualifies, when you'll get your money, and what you need to do right now to make sure you don't miss out. But before we dive in, if you want to stay updated on the latest stimulus news and financial updates that could put more money in your pocket, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let me ask you this. Are you one of the millions of Americans receiving Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or veterans benefits? Because if you are, this news is especially important for you. I've been receiving hundreds of comments from viewers asking when these payments will arrive, and today, I'm breaking down everything you need to know about this $2,600 stimulus package. First, let's talk about who's eligible for these payments. The federal government has specifically targeted this stimulus package to help our most vulnerable citizens, those receiving Social Security retirement benefits, Supplemental Security Income, SSI, Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, and veterans benefits. But here's what's really interesting: even if you're not in these categories, you might still qualify under certain conditions, and I'll explain exactly how in just a moment. You might be wondering, why $2,600, and how did they come up with this number? Well, this amount wasn't chosen randomly. It's actually based on careful calculations considering the rising cost of living, inflation rates, and the increased financial burden many Americans are facing right now. Think about it: when was the last time we saw grocery prices this high? When did filling up your gas tank last cost this much? The government recognizes these challenges, and that's exactly why this stimulus package was designed. Now, here's something crucial that many people don't realize: the distribution of these payments is happening in phases. Some of you might have already received a deposit notification from your bank, while others are still waiting. Don't panic if you haven't seen anything yet. I'm going to walk you through the exact timeline of when you can expect your payment based on your benefit category. For Social Security retirement beneficiaries, the rollout began this week, with direct deposits hitting accounts across the country. But here's a question many of you have been asking: what if I receive my regular benefits by mail? Don't worry, I've got you covered. If you typically receive your benefits through a paper check, your stimulus payment will follow the same route, but it might take an additional 5-7 business days to arrive. SSI recipients, your timeline looks a little different. The distribution for SSI beneficiaries is scheduled to start next week, but here's something important you need to know: if you receive both Social Security retirement and SSI, your payment might come in 2 separate installments. Why? It's because of how the payment system is structured, and I'll explain exactly how this works. For our SSDI recipients, the government has implemented a special distribution schedule. Your payments will begin rolling out in the third wave, but here's the good news: they're processing these payments faster than previous stimulus distributions. Remember those long waits during the last stimulus? Well, the system has been streamlined this time around. Veterans, I haven't forgotten about you. The VA has been working closely with the Treasury Department to ensure a smooth distribution process for all veterans benefit recipients. But there's something specific you need to know about how your payment will be processed, especially if you receive multiple types of benefits. Now, let me address something that's causing a lot of confusion: the income limits for eligibility. Unlike previous stimulus payments, this one has different income thresholds, and they vary depending on your benefit category. But here's what's really interesting: even if you think you might be over the limit, there are certain deductions and exceptions that could still qualify you for a full or partial payment. Here's a question I've been getting a lot: what if I started receiving benefits after January 2024? This is really important because the eligibility requirements have some specific dates you need to know about. The good news is that there are provisions for new beneficiaries, but there are some extra steps you might need to take to ensure you receive your payment. Let's talk about something that's causing some anxiety: what if you've moved or changed banks recently? This is crucial because the government will use your most recent information on file to send your payment. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do if you need to update your information, and yes, there's still time to do it. Speaking of updates, there's been some confusion about whether this payment affects other benefits. Let me be very clear about this: this stimulus payment is not counted as income for federal benefit programs. This means it won't affect your regular Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or VA benefit amounts. It also won't impact your eligibility for other assistance programs like SNAP or Medicare. Now, here's something many people don't realize about these payments: they're actually structured as a tax credit, but don't let that term confuse you. Unlike regular tax credits, you don't need to wait until tax season to receive this money. It's being sent out now, when people need it most. However, there are some important tax implications you should know about, especially if you're planning your finances for the year. Let's address another common concern: what if you have outstanding debts? Will this payment be garnished? The answer is a bit complicated and depends on the type of debt, but I've got good news for most of you. These payments have certain protections that previous stimulus payments didn't have, and I'll explain exactly what those protections are. Here's an important question to consider: what should you do if you don't receive your payment when expected? Don't panic. I'm going to give you specific steps to take, including who to contact and what information you'll need to have ready. There's actually a dedicated hotline for payment issues, but there are some things you should try before making that call. Let me share something interesting about how these payments are being processed. The government has implemented a new distribution system that's supposed to be more efficient than previous stimulus rollouts. But here's what you need to know: this new system has some quirks, and understanding them could help you better track your payment. Now, for those of you who receive your benefits through Direct Express cards, there's some specific information you need to know. The processing time might be slightly different, and there are some features of your Direct Express card you should be aware of when it comes to these stimulus payments. Here's a question that might be on your mind: can I still qualify if I receive other types of government benefits? The answer might surprise you, because there are several other benefit categories that could make you eligible for this payment. I'll explain each one and how they might affect your stimulus amount. Let's talk about something that's causing some confusion: the difference between this stimulus payment and other government benefits you might be receiving. This is important because there are some key distinctions that could affect how and when you receive your money. For those of you helping to care for someone who receives these benefits, there's some specific information you need to know. Whether you're a representative payee or just helping a family member manage their benefits, there are some important details about how these payments work in these situations. Now, here's something crucial that not enough people are talking about: there are some additional benefits and programs that are being rolled out alongside these stimulus payments. Knowing about these could potentially increase the total assistance you receive, and I'll explain exactly what these programs are and how to apply for them. Let me address a concern that many of you have expressed in the comments of my previous videos: what about future payments? While I can't predict future legislation, I can tell you about some proposals currently being discussed in Congress, and what they might mean for benefit recipients. Here's a question that's been coming up a lot lately: how does this payment affect other household members? This is especially important for those of you living in multi-generational households or with other benefit recipients. The rules about household payments are different from previous stimulus programs, and you need to understand these differences. For those of you who help support family members or receive support from others, there are some specific rules about how these payments work in your situation. This is particularly important for people who share expenses or live in combined households. Now, let's talk about something that's causing some confusion: the timing of these payments in relation to regular benefit payments. Some of you might see changes in your regular payment schedule, and I'll explain why this happens and what to expect. Here's an important detail about these payments that many people miss: there are actually some additional resources and support services being made available alongside these stimulus payments. These resources could provide extra help with things like utility bills, housing costs, and other expenses. Let me share something that could be really helpful: there are some specific strategies you can use to make the most of this payment. While everyone's situation is different, I'll explain some general principles that could help you maximize the benefit of this stimulus money. For those of you wondering about state-level benefits and how they interact with this federal stimulus, there's some important information you need to know. Some states are providing additional benefits, and understanding how these work together could mean more assistance for you. Now, here's a question that comes up frequently: what documentation should you keep related to these payments? This might seem simple, but it's actually really important for several reasons that I'll explain. Let's talk about something practical: how to spot and avoid scams related to these payments. Unfortunately, whenever there's a major government program like this, scammers try to take advantage. I'll tell you exactly what to watch out for and how to protect yourself. Here's something important for those of you who use online banking or payment apps. There are some specific things you need to know about how these payments might appear in your accounts and how to handle any issues that come up. For those of you who've had problems with previous stimulus payments, there's good news. The government has implemented some new procedures to address common issues. I'll explain what these changes are and how they might affect you. Before we wrap up, let me remind you of something crucial. These payments are part of a larger economic support package, and there might be additional benefits you qualify for. I'll be covering all of these in upcoming videos, so make sure you're subscribed to stay informed. Remember, if you found this information helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with anyone you know who receives Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or veterans benefits. They need to know this information too. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates about these payments or future benefit changes. Drop a comment below if you have any questions. I read them all and try to address the most common concerns in my future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll dive into even more ways to maximize your benefits and financial security. Stay tuned, stay informed, and most importantly, make sure you take the necessary steps to receive your payment. Your financial well-being matters, and I'm here to help you stay on top of these important updates. See you in the next video.